Hey badasses, this is Donnie Bovine, the founding badass behind Success Champions, the podcast, the magazine, the Facebook group filled full of business owners that are doing amazing things growing and scaling their business. Here we are at the Hearst Convention Center in Fort Worth, Texas, getting geared up for the Badass Business Summit. We're bringing in 12 amazing speakers from around the U.S. to help you get your publicity and your business development right at this ultimate event called the Badass Business Summit. At this event, you're going to learn how to get on stages, how to get on podcasts, how to write your book. You're also going to learn about how to automate your sales process, how to network at a high-end level. You're going to learn how to get your social media dialed in so it's perfect for your business so you can grow and scale. We all set out to start our own businesses to find that freedom from doing the 9-to-5 job. Now it's time to scale that business up, get after it, and go big as hell. I promise you, at the Badass Business Summit, you're going to unleash that inner badass inside of you so you can go big and loud and change the world.
There we are. How are you, dear?
I'm good. How are you?
You know, life is good. It's crazy. It's busy. It's fun. It's chaotic. It's wonderful. It's astounding. And holy shit, what the hell am I doing some days?
Oh, I hear you. I hear you. That is a great intro video.
Oh, thank you.
I loved it. I really loved it.
That was done, put together by Love Media Group. It's one of the sponsors for the event.
Yeah,
They do some amazing.
It's perfect. Perfect for you. There is one little problem with it, though.
It's still got the Fort Worth there.
No. You say that you've got 12 amazing speakers, which is true. You've got 12 amazing speakers from all over the U.S. What am I?
Canada.
We're not part of you as much as
all right, we're international. Hey,
Hey,
right. You guys wish you were part of us. That's the difference.
Oh, God, not now, actually. Maybe at some point we did, but yeah. Just pointing that out, people who's ever listening, I am not American. Those are awesome, but Canadians are better. We're on top of you. You have to remember that.
I could make so many jokes about that, but I'm going to leave that the hell alone. Leave that the hell alone. So, guys, welcome to Meet the Experts as we sit down and hang out with all the badasses who will be speaking at the Badass Business Summit or they're sponsor of the event. We bring them together every Wednesday, 4 o'clock Central. Sit down, hear their story, have some fun. It's a really good time to do it since y'all are all stuck at home anyways. So it's a really fun way to do this. So I trust me, guys, this is going to be a badass conversation. Odette loves going toe-to-toe with me. It makes it for a lot of damn fun. So y'all strap it in for Miss Odette Peak. Odette, tell them who the hell you are.
Who am I? Well, you know who I am during the coronavirus is maybe not someone you want to really know, but I'm actually today I was like, I'm done with this. So I help entrepreneurs become speakers. I help them with their signature talks. I help them get on stages. I teach them how to get on stage, how to put together their marketing material, the scissor reel, all of that, because the fastest way to grow your business is to speak, whether it's on a podcast or at your own event is a really great opportunity to get people to know, like, and trust you. So that's what I do.
And Adam's watching, the guy who put the video. He goes, we can edit to say to 12 speakers from all over the damn place.
Except Odette. Oh, yeah.
He said from all over the damn place. Yeah. So we'll get it in there. So, but if you guys do need a badass video done, Love Media is your guys. They are absolutely amazing. So this is interesting because, you know, a lot of people have transitioned their businesses online. You really help speakers get on stages and stuff. I'm really curious, what pivots or things have you done in your business to really make this time work for you, or have you?
Yeah. Well, so I did a pivot prior to this a couple months back, really focusing on helping entrepreneurs be in alignment with who they really are, what they really want, and speaking is a natural way to grow whatever it is that you're in alignment for. So I've already done a pivot, and then I've been gearing up to do retreats in Costa Rica. I had so many speaking gigs lined up that everything was just canceled. So I felt like my business just halted in a moment, as did everybody else's. And instead of freaking out, I went, you know what? This is a really great opportunity for me just to kind of go inward and take a look at, take stock of what my business was like, what were the gaps, the holes, the problems, the things I didn't like, the things I didn't want, and then taking stock and what do I want to do moving forward? Because we don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know what the effect is going to be like once, the the post-virus situation is over. We're developing new trends, or new trends will be developed. I don't think anyone's necessarily developing them. Things probably won't go back the same, and I really wouldn't want them to go back the same. So I've been doing a lot of that inner work, and the online piece is I'm taking all of my my knowledge and just sharing it online as best I can. I still have online programs that I'm producing, and I have a Facebook forum just like you do with all of my people. So I've had to resurrect a lot of the stuff that have laid stagnant. And then really I'm thinking about what is it that I want to create. So it's been a little bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah, for me, it's been fun to watch how people get a position in this thing. Some people have really grabbed this by the horns, and they're building things, and they're adding new revenue lines, and for me, I get most excited about those people, because those are the people that are going to win. When this whole thing is settled and figured out, however that plays out. But I'm in Texas, and they're opening back up tomorrow. So
are they really?
Yeah.
Is that a good idea?
You know what? I'm impartial. I don't know who to believe. I don't know what to think. I don't know any of that. So I don't know whether it's a good or a bad move, to be completely honest. So I know that a lot of small businesses are extremely hurting. And there's a lot of businesses that have already shut down during this time. So I'm all in favor of the right people getting the right help at the right time. And I don't know that that's happening everywhere. So So I really don't know the right answer.
Well, as far as I understand it, I mean, they keep doing it in 2-week increments, but it's until the end of May is what for a lot of the stuff. So, I mean, I guess it depends. There has been a lot of talk about pivot, and let's talk about that for a second. There's a lot of hype, to me, the fear mongering of you've got to pivot. If you don't pivot, you're going to fail. You're going to lose. And I totally disagree with that. Not everyone can pivot. Most people don't know how to pivot. They don't know what to pivot to. And then if they go to pivot, they're probably thinking it's just a short term. It's about how to take what you already do, what you already know, and what you're great at, and then taking a look at what does your audience need to know right now based on what it is that you teach. It's not a complete, 180, when a lot of people are doing that. And I think it's scaring the shit out of them.
Well, but also, on top of that, a lot of people are sitting on their ass and not doing anything too. I'm watching people on both sides of the fence here, and I am not the hustle and grind guy. I do not believe you should run yourself into the fucking ground. But I will say that you can't sit on your ass and not do anything.
Right, and those aren't the people that we're talking to, right? I presume the ass sitters aren't on this podcast, right? So True. I think those are the people that, to me, the way I look at it, it's a bit of a cleaning house. It's a little bit of a reset. There's probably, a million speaker coaches out there. If half of them are sitting on their ass, I'm okay with that, because they're not doing what they need to be doing in order to grow their business. They're ass sitters. Whereas
we just coined a new phrase. Don't be an ass sitter.
Right? That's just stupid. But at the same time, what I've been doing is the opposite, is just really taking stock of what's working, what's not working, but using the opportunity to actually slow down in my business and in my life for once in my life. I think I posted, I've always been a hustler, but it's just not serving me anymore. So it's been great. And I'm not sitting on my ass, that's for sure.
Yeah, and Stacey said, I'm no ass sitter. So that terminology is going to stick, damn it.
That's a Canadian one, yeah. That's right.
The interesting thing is I agree without making a major shift or pivot in your business. But for, Warren Buffett said it best, is most people are walking through life, and we're all swimming in the ocean, just most people are swimming in the ocean naked. And when something like this happens, and the economy gets a little bit of a hiccup or whatever, however you want to look at it, when something like this happens, we get to see, how they're showing up in the world. And I think a lot of people are getting exposed. I mean, look at somebody like Grant Cardone that has been majorly exposed during this time. Love or hate the guy. Like what? I don't know. He ended up having to lay off majority of his employees, all of his stock portfolios that he managed. He refused to pay out. I mean, it's a huge debacle that's going on with him right now. At least that's what's being touted by the news and media. So it's interesting that I think people have got to really look at this time of how can capitalize is the wrong word, but how can I take the right actions in this moment and do something with it?
Yeah, and I think that's, there's like three categories. You got the ass sitters, those people that are doing what you just said, they just need to take stock of and start doing something or do something. And then those that are pivoting based out of fear.
Yeah.
And I kind of got caught up in that fear. I was watching a webinar and it was like, if you don't pivot, you're going to fail. If you don't pivot, you're not going to have a business at the end of this. If you don't pivot, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, fuck off, because I don't believe that everybody has to pivot. I think everybody needs to be a beacon of hope for their customers and their clients. And you need to be that standing presence for them, whatever that looks like for you. And I feel today is probably the first day I felt a little confined here, because I actually just moved about 3 weeks ago into a much smaller house. Because I was in Costa Rica, then moved a few weeks later into a really small house.
Wait, who goes from Costa Rica to Canada? I mean,
Pardon?
Is that a thing? Who goes from Costa Rica to Canada?
I know. It was a bit ridiculous. I don't know what I was thinking. And it was one of the last flights home too. And I was like, do I stay or do I go? But so I'm feeling really confined right now, but busy. And it's my first day of just a little bit of, feistiness. But for the most part, I'm actually really good with what's happening, because I think the world needs a reset. It needs to clean up the people. It needs to clean up, the environment, the world, the whole bit. And I think this gives an opportunity to, as you said, it shows people's true colors, but it also strips you down that if you're losing money, your job, your stocks, your whatever, who are you without those things? And I think to me, that's a bigger question.
Well, and the other thing that I'm enjoying right now is I like the word, cleaning house, because if you go over to Instagram, there's a whole different story right now from people that have been posting for the longest times. A lot of your quote unquote millionaire influencers, everything else, all of a sudden went radio silent. Because now their business model doesn't work, and they're not bringing in income and revenue. And it just goes back to revealing their true colors. So it's an interesting time we're in, but let's talk about speaking and stuff, just because you freaking are a beast when it comes to that kind of stuff. And I enjoy the conversation. But you also got a pretty badass background. So tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get here to this level?
Yeah. When I started, my first business was in 1993 during a recession. And I think that's probably why this pandemic thing doesn't really freak me out so much. But we had nothing. And I had just gotten married. My husband had just gone bankrupt because he was doing the custom home building type thing that was happening. And so similar to what you guys experienced in 2008, we had that in Canada a decade before that. And, or 93, oh my gosh, yeah, about that. And so I started this idea to sell to the real estate market. Nobody said I could do it. It was a stupid idea, bad timing. And 25 years later, that company is an international multi-million-dollar company from a stupid idea that no one said I can do. And I was 27 years old. So I'm like, I don't know anything about business. I sold it after about 10 years to start coaching. So I have the experience of being a business owner in a time sucks. But how I grew that business, and I didn't really realize it until I started coaching in 2010, was from speaking. So back then there was no internet that we had access to. And I would go door to door, literally, to real estate offices, and I would do little 5-minute office presentations. So I did 5-minute talks in front of whoever was listening, could be 10 people or 100 people, and would walk away, and then my follow-up process had to be killer. And that's how we built the business. And because back then, you would do fax mail outs, or whatever you call it, and it cost $2,000. You'd have to mail your newsletter. That was another $2,000. But going around town and just doing these presentations turned out to be extremely lucrative. So when I started coaching, I started coaching when times were once again really shit. I think there's a little bit of a theme going on. I just realized that. I was just like, I need a drink.
Well, I tell you, one thing that I enjoyed about my business was that I won't say it's recession proof, but it's resilient as fuck. So, this time definitely showed me some gaps in my business model in doing it. So I just love the people that have the gumption to start stuff when things like this happen. But go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, I realized I had a lot of trauma in my life. I didn't realize it was that all very significant in the pre-launch of a business. That I am just amazed at what I'm going to accomplish after this pandemic is over. Stay tuned for that.
Everybody needs to be watching out for that.
So when I started my coaching business, I had gotten divorced and had little kids in a blended family relationship, and I thought I had the world by the tail because I could start this business and just focus on just my business. And my partner would look after the kids, the house, the bills, and all of that. That was like the ideal scenario. But 30 days later, we split up. It was over. And I'm like, holy shit, what am I going to do now? Now I have to do everything by myself again. And what happened a few weeks later, which was very tragic, was both of my parents, they were both in their 80s, both fell, they both broke their hip and died within 2 months of each other.
Oh, wow.
And that was a few months after the breakup. And so I had woken up from one morning, I was just stressed to the nines, woken up and I had no movement in my upper body. I had lost the function of my arms and my hands. And I thought my arms were just asleep, and that wasn't the case. I had developed thoracic outlet syndrome, which is just pinched nerves in your neck, but they would not let go. And so I started my business completely sick as a dog. I lost about 20 pounds, and I don't need to lose 2 pounds, let alone 20 pounds. I was so skinny, scared out of my mind. My parents are dead. My relationship's over. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? How can I possibly do this? So I went into this real dark place of fear and built a business. I didn't stop the business because no one would hire me anyways. But I started the business and just kept going for about 3 years until I burnt out. And that's where I did a lot of hustle and grind. And I couldn't keep up the pace anymore because I was coming from a place of where I feel a lot of people are in the place now of, I've got to survive. How am I going to survive? I need the money. And they don't have the trust or the faith. And neither did I.
Right.
So that's
I love it.
Tragedy stories. Yeah.
Yeah. And Aaron Justice over on LinkedIn says, it's awesome how the current situation has led many businesses to become more creative and efficient.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of truth to that. Back to your story a little bit. Where does that gumption really come from? Is it you got nothing to lose, so you might as well go all in? Is that kind of the case for you? I mean, because a lot of people want to believe they're going to have that tenacity to get after it and figure it out. But for you, it had to come from somewhere.
I feel like it's an innate thing of me. It's just a part of who I am. I've got a lot of gumption. I take a look at my life. Like when I was 18, I wanted to live in Europe, so I just went. And my parents weren't too happy about it, but then I found a way into a British university because I didn't want to leave Europe, but I wanted to go to college or university and not pay the foreign fees. So I became a Dutch nationalist and national, whatever you call it. And I figure shit out. But I think that tenacity is sort of my middle name, or audacity as well. That we all have that. We just need to pull it up, and we need to do whatever we need to do to survive. But trying to build that coaching business from a place of fear, anger, I was distraught, is not a healthy place to build a business. Hindsight is I should have taken that time to be creative in that space, to let myself heal and all of that. But I didn't. And that was a real learning. So I think that maybe that's why for this time around, I'm just chilling. I'm doing my work. I'm doing the things that I need to do. Got a couple projects on the go, but I'm actually really sitting with, what is it that I really want to be doing after this? Like, what's that next thing look like? So I guess I'm in creative headspace. I never thought of it that way.
But I mean, that's a cool place to be. I mean, as entrepreneurs, will she share what she was selling to the real estate agents? So what were you selling to real estate?
Totally sexy stuff, let me tell you. It's so beautiful. We were measuring buildings and producing as-built computer-generated floor plans. So we'd go out to the home or the commercial buildings. We would measure them with a tape measure. Back then we had a disto, so this great big machine. Now they're really small. Laser equipment, and then measure the building, and then produce computerized floor plans. So not AutoCAD type stuff, not quite as fancy. And that's what we did. That was
what are floor plans used for?
So floor plans are used for square footage determination. A lot of standards, buildings are done to standards, so we develop them to standards. But for residential, it was purely for marketing. So instead of having to show 45 houses, they could, in one day, they would show floor plans of them as well. So.
No, interesting. Very cool. What an innovative. How did you stumble into that? I mean, that's just a random fucking thing to be doing as a bussbusiness.
I know.
No way in hell as a little girl you woke up and were like, I want to do floor plans.
I know. That's what I'm saying is really unsexy. So I have my opinion, and then of course my ex-husband has his opinion. But he thinks it's his idea, but it was my idea.
Let's get him on the phone. Hold on. No,
exactly. I remember specifically driving down Queen Street in my neighborhood, and I looked over at him. I said, you know what? It would be really cool if real estate agents had floor plans to market with their feature sheets. And he just looked at me and goes, I don't know what he thought. And that's how the idea kind of percolated in my head. Now, where it came from was that he was, like I said, a custom home builder. So he had produced all of his floor plans for the homes that he produced, because he's a professional engineer, not an architect. But he would produce the computerized floor plans to create the map. And I said, well, why don't we just do this and then market it to the real estate? And it took off from there. I mean, it was, had its slow start, but once it got some traction, it really took off, and we were just beyond swamped. So it was definitely a profit project, not a passion project.
And TJ says what she did then is what we are doing today, but it's enhanced as virtual tours.
That's right. So we ended up growing the business and had a virtual tour company that we had hooked up with. And today my daughters own, and they're not really doing it so much now, but an arm of that company where they would use a Matterport and do virtual tours. So if anyone knows what a Matterport is.
I've actually heard of a Matterport. It's a weird camera device that gets put in the house.
Yeah, but it does the floor plans, it does the pictures, it does the virtual tour. It's a one-stop shop. So it's a really great tool. So their company was called Dragonfly Eye. Yeah.
Now they're asking is, what are you speaking about at the summit?
That's a good question. I think I don't know. What would you like me to speak about?
Yeah.
It's basically, how to put a really great talk together, how to get on stages, what's the power of speaking. And a lot of people, there's two schools of thought with people. Those that are scared to death to speak and don't speak or speak really badly, or those that think that they're really good and speak badly. The majority of speakers are bad. You're not bad, Donnie, of course not. And the people that are attending your event aren't bad speakers. It's an art and a science to be able to put together a really amazing talk that's based on your story. So there's a lot of storytelling in your talk, based on fact as well. What are the things that you'll be teaching? And then how to move people into a call to action, to move your audience into action. And with those three components, you've got a really great talk. It's more of an experience, and people get to know, like, and trust you. And it's how to be able to put all of that together. So that's what the plan is.
and this all comes from your realtor background and learning how to do this from knocking on doors, which is crazy as hell. I've done that. And there's nothing fun about knocking on doors and trying to get business done.
Or the yellow pages, actually. That's the other thing. Literally had a yellow pages.
You mean those things you use as a doorstop?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. They were amazing. But that's how I grew my business. I didn't need an email list. I just needed the phone book and a phone, the kind that was attached to the wall. So it was just brilliant.
And do you know how a company was started back when the Yellow Pages were around? There's a real surefire way to know they were. Yeah. It's because the name is like AAA anything.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Because they showed up first in the phone book, when they did that.
That's right. You're not stupid.
So eventually this whole thing's going to turn. The booster seat, they're saying now, that's what the phone book's used for, is the booster seat in the truck. Yeah. So eventually we're going to come out of this craziness, and I don't think we'll ever get back to business as usual. I think a lot of corporations are going to realize that these virtual bases are going to be a thing that becomes more of a norm, because they don't need to put people in offices. But there's still going to be conferences. There's still going to be, events and people to speak at. Why does somebody need to add speaking into their repertoire as part of their business development?
Well, I think that kind of a hope that I have is that people have been so isolated for a long period of time. And when we slowly, however we introduce the conferences, there might be people who are afraid it may take, a quarter or two for people to get back in the game. But I think people are going to be hungry to be back in person with people. And I think that that's what's really the kicker, is that people are going to be excited to be in a room full of people. And so we don't know what that's going to look like. So just because we're going through a transition and things will not be the same as they were, there's still going to be an opportunity to speak. Now, at live events, you can create your own events like you've done. And let's say you could have created your own event and just had you as a speaker. But, and that's one way to do it. Another way for speaking is like speaking isn't just necessarily in front of the room with a 45-minute keynote. It could be Facebook Lives. It could be other videos. It could be seminars and workshops. It could be live streaming. You still need to know how to speak and share your story and hold an audience, captivate them. And I say there's just three things. Number one is you have to get their attention in the first place. Then you have to hold their attention all the way through whatever it is that you're saying. And then you need to move them into action. And most people don't know how to do that seamlessly. So it's still it's not a dying art,
right?
By any stretch of the imagination.
So as a lot of people right now are doing live streams, they're doing conferences, they're on Zoom, StreamYard, all these different platforms. Mm-hmm. What are some of the tactics and things that they can be doing right now to make for a better speech, a better presentation, or a better presence in general? What are some of the things that they need to be doing?
Well, I think number one, I always take a look is about awareness. Take a look at what are they currently doing? What do they currently have? Does it still resonate with their audience? There's always a check-in. I'm going to just, before I pivot even just a little bit, I want to make sure that what I currently have is going to be heard. So you need to do a check-in, revamp it. It's a great opportunity now to write that new talk, to write that screenplay, write the book, put together your Facebook. Where are you going? Put together your an online program. Put together a mastermind program. And that all requires the same content of what you do, just in a different format. Oh my God, that's just weird and cute.
Yeah, sorry. He was starting to wake up. So
is that a goat?
That is a goat. I have a baby goat that sits behind me most days while I work.
Why?
So he was really sick when he was born, so we nursed him back to health and everything. So he was starting to give me. So I'm gonna pass him off really quick.
Cute as a button. I would love to hold him, but that's just funny.
So I bet you never had that happen before.
No, can't say as I have. That's too funny. Adorable. But it's just to reiterate. It's just to take stock of what you've got, and then what can you recreate, and using this time, whatever the experience has been like for you the last, let's just say since Christmas time, to add that to your talk. It's really important to have your talk stay fresh with current experiences that you have, and talk about that. I don't believe, I'm talking about the people who are aware and awake. I'm not talking about the people that are ass sitters. The aware and the awake people are not going to be the same person. We're just going to be better people. We're going to be stronger people. We're going to be more loving, more kind, more whatever it is, right? Is that then is going to make you a different speaker. It's going to make you a better speaker. It's taking what we're learning here and then applying it to what that looks like in our business.
Yeah, I love that. It's always interesting to me that the GSDs, the get shit done people, are the ones that learn how to leverage times like this to do something better and cooler and evolve, if you will. I mean, I did a lot of lives and things prior to this craziness, and now we're just going all in. I mean, we're doing a daily live and putting out as much content. But part of that is I still think it's our obligation. If we have a voice, we know how to talk to people, we should get out there and get big and loud just to help keep the morale up, if nothing else, and be a flame for everybody else to deal with their shit by saying that there are people still getting after it. There are people still, putting in the work and making sure things are getting done. Yeah. So that's been a lot of fun to mess around with and play with to figure all this stuff out. They just put hashtag GSD people on the post. So
that's too funny. Yeah.
For you on your journey, like everybody, we've all had these kind of crazy ups and downs, and roller coaster rides, and whatnot. How have you been able to bounce through the good and the bad, and flatline as much as possible? You can never completely flatline it, but and keep moving forward with it. How have you been able to pull it off
during this time? You mean?
In general, I mean, this time and other times, and in general, how do you keep moving forward?
Well, for me, this experience with this pandemic is, and I've just had that awareness and aha, just speaking to you, that like a lot of some of the big things that I have created have come from shitty times. So I'm actually thinking, my wheels are turning, like, what am I creating? What am I doing right now to create? I'm actually doing something that I've never really done before, and that is allowing myself and giving myself permission to use this time to go inward and be creative rather than do the hustle and the grind. That's the way I have always lived. I'm 53, and for 52 years, it's been hustle and grind. I'm tired of it. It leads to burnout. It's just not fun. And so I'm like the opposite end of the spectrum. And there's been a lot of learning on how to sit and be creative. So I'm actually working on a program right now, and it's all around that. It's the creative side, and it's got nothing to do with my current business. And every time I do it, I think, why am I doing this? It's like, I'm doing it because I'm called to do it, and there's something in it. I don't really know what it is, but I'm okay with that. So I'm always a doer, and I'm a get shit done person to the max, like AAA personality, on fire all the time. And now I'm actually seeing that you can still be a get shit done person without having to be running a marathon all the time. Right. So I'm not doing a lot of the online stuff. I started to, but it was coming from a place of anguish. And I thought, well, what's the point? So people are responding more to me with the message being, what some of the stuff that we're talking about here is taking stock of what works, what doesn't work, rather than the panic of I don't have any money, or, my spouse isn't working and I'm only getting the supplement or whatever you guys call it. So like the stimulus package, or,
right.
And I'm reconnecting to that little girl who goes, what do you really want to be doing? What's that really look like? So
I think it's a fun place to be, though, is when you're exploring everything you're into and doing, and trying to figure out not the next move, but the next evolution. For me, I think that's how I continue to rediscover myself. Is I'm the worst shiny object syndrome person in the world, man. Because you get running down a path, you're like, oh, this is so fun, but then I get bored. I'm like, right, we're still doing this thing, So it's a interesting conundrum for people like us that are constantly in this kind of what's next mode. And I'm always trying to get, okay, can I build it so somebody else can run it? So that still functions and run, and I can go on to something else, Doesn't always work out, usually because my ego gets in the way, if I'm completely honest.
which is okay. But I've been thinking about that too. How can what can I create that someone else can run, that can be, a certification program or whatever that looks like. It's like, what can I do that's not just an online program and marketing an online program and all of that kind of stuff. What can I do that's different, but that speaks to what is it that I want to create? So I'm looking sort of at what the next 30 years looks like, rather than just the next 3 months.
Right. And which is an interesting place to be, because sometimes it's hard to see that far out. When you're looking at circumstances that are staring you in the face, taking care of, employees or clients, customers. I mean, there's just, I've tried to build the business to a certain way that it can function without me as much as possible. But when you're a guy or a gal that wants to be the face of the company, it gets a little cumbersome sometimes, because there's some things that only you can do, so it's been an interesting journey this far. But the people that do create something during this time, I think, are going to find themselves just in a very just cool place, because whatever they're creating, it almost makes it recession proof. I won't ever say anything's recession proof, but it does line them up better to have a more foundational business that can take the licks when bad things happen.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's an opportunity for you to really do a check-in with exactly that. And I think what a lot of people don't do in their business, or as speakers or whatever, whatever kind of business owner they are, we're just too damn busy. And the universe, whatever, has given you this opportunity to sit still and do nothing for however long it's been now. I don't even know. You're never going to get that again in our lifetime. I highly doubt there's going to be another pandemic in the next 30 years. God knows, who knows? I don't know. But these are like once in a lifetime opportunities to really take stock of what's happening and to get creative and to use the time to stop being so damn busy, because busy is just a camouflage for you trying to avoid something.
Agreed.
And it's an opportunity for you to clean up things, or to create the program that you've always wanted to. Like when I'm working with people, and having conversations with people, the biggest problems are usually time and money, of course, right? I don't have the time.
That's their belief.
Exactly. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. Well, forget about the money piece for now. You have nothing but time.
Right.
And, I've done only one Netflix binge, and I purposely chose it because it only had 8 episodes. Did it within 24 hours. But I'm not on Netflix because I know that I'll just run with it. And it's not a creative space for me. I am walking more, of course. I'll admit I never drink beer, but now I'm drinking beer again. And I'm like, oh my God, what's happening to me? But, it's just like I'm exploring some old parts of me that I've laid to rest for a while. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. Spending more time with family, right? Like it's.
Yeah,
great.
I love it. Yeah. You've said a couple times now that you used to be the hustle and grind. You're trying to find that balance between working yourself to death and still running your businesses. What are some of the things that you're doing to find that balance? Because I know I literally had to program things on my calendar to get me to walk away from the business for a little while. What are some of the things you've implemented in yours to try and balance that out a little bit more?
Well, the one thing that has gone out the window is a little bit of structure, and I'm a bit of a structure freak. Is that like I'm just when you're busy, you live and die by the calendar, right? Like everything has to be structured, and very hard for me to turn off at the end of the day or at the end of the 8 o'clock at night, whatever, because it's like I can just do one more thing. I got one more thing to do. I've kind of abandoned the structure. I do have my calendar with me. I take a look at it, but my primary focus for me has been sleep. Since I got back from Costa Rica end of February, I immediately got super sick. I've wicked allergies, and it's bad allergy season here, but I thought I had COVID because I had real shortness of breath. I have an autoimmune disorder, and I thought, oh my God, I can't breathe. Had a little bit of a fever. So I was tested, and because I had traveled, but it came back negative. And there's a part of me who was like, hoping it was the COVID so that I could kind of, get it over with. And then, I don't know if you get it again, but then I was sick for 4 weeks, and then I had to move in that time. I was super run down that I just decided sleep is my number one priority, because sleep was the number one thing that would come off the table first. And I'm like, no, I've switched it around. Now, there are times I've woken up at 10 and I'm like, oh my God, how the hell did I sleep so long? Oh, it's because you went to bed a little bit later. But I'm like, so it's that kind of thing. And then really making sure that I do prioritize no more than 3 things in a day. And there's always one priority, which is exercise, walking or exercising, sleep, and then what is that other priority? Otherwise, I'd have 17 different priorities. So it can be that one day it would be, okay, I'm going to focus on my current business and working with clients and all that kind of stuff. The next day it's about getting creative. What do I need? What do I want to create? So doing some dabbling in and around that. So I'm getting, because there's less movement, as I'm not traveling and all that kind of stuff. I decided that I have the time to focus on, why don't I just focus on 3 things as opposed to 17 things? And it's made a huge difference. I do get a little frustrated with it, going, God, where did the time go? Like, my days fly by. And so.
No, I love it. I mean, on top of it, a couple of things for me that my followers and fans know, that one of the things that I had to do was do the Thursday afternoon farm day. So I do have a full working farm. So literally Thursday afternoons at 2 o'clock, I shut down the business. I mean, it's still functioning and running all facets and that, things are moving, but I'm mowing the farm or taking care of animals, rebuilding stalls, whatever needs to be done.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, my wife got me a T-shirt that says I need a weekend from my weekends.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
I don't do a whole lot with the business because I do so much with the farm on the weekend. But I try to explain to people, and they don't always understand that working as hard on the farm as I do in my business is relaxing.
Yeah.
Sitting on the back of a tractor for hours is relaxing.
Yeah.
Building something with your hands is relaxing. So I've found that activity a lot of times, as long as it's more mundane, is very, 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 very healthy for me to turn off the noise, because I don't care who you are running a business, you're going to get the 3 a.m. wake up call going, damn, that's the new thing I'm going to try. Or,
Absolutely. And I really hate it when I don't capture those moments, because I'm like, I'll remember it. And then of course I don't. But you're also working with your hands. And I think that that's a really an important thing to stress here, is that you're working with nature, you're working with animals, you're working with your hands in an environment that is very healthy and healing. Like, what do they say? If you're sick, take a walk in in nature. But you're I'll dare say lucky. I don't really like that word, but it's lucky that you've got this working farm that you can just disengage. But you're doing something that really connects your heart and your soul and your hands and everything. And I think that's fantastic.
Well, and I'll be completely honest that having this farm has kept us sane during this craziness in it, because we do have a way to get out and do things, so we're not confined to a small apartment or a small house or anything. So
that's amazing. Right. So I have a question for you. On your farm, do you have staff that work the farm as well?
Nope. Just me and my wife.
Just you and your wife. Wow.
So
that's amazing.
Now we built a second house on a property for my mother-in-law, but she's 70 years old. So she does what she can, but she's not throwing hay bales and 50-pound bags of grain around and stuff. But
well, that's amazing. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I think people need to play as hard as they work. So, and my brother, they're saying he's got his own farm to worry about. I do put in my brother's a handyman, so if it's too big of a project, his butt's over at my house doing all the work. Then, we're doing a big project this weekend, so we're laying a whole sidewalk of brick for my mother-in-law. So,
and I think that's for people who might be struggling, and maybe they do live in the apartment or whatever. I don't know if you're allowed out. We're allowed to walk around, like our neighborhoods and stuff like that. But it's just put your hands in dirt. Like, as crazy as hug a tree. Like, get connected to nature, because nature is actually loving what's happening with this reset, because the world is just cleaning up a little bit, and I think that's really great too. But just get out there and dig your hands in nature, walk on the beach and dig your toes in the sand. And I don't know. I have many friends who are still in Costa Rica, who you're not allowed on the beach. And they have this new daily habit of going on the beach, and they have learned how to jog on the beach because they're running away from the police.
That's the only way you're going to get me to run. I'll run to stay ahead of them. I mean, it's my running joke in the house is, honey, I ran the other day, and she looks at me crazy. She's like, what do you mean you ran the other day? I'm like, well, I was going down the last step of the stairs, and I stumbled a little bit. And I went forward, and dude, my heart rate got up. I was totally in. So
exactly. It's all about commitment. It's
Right.
Be committed to that. So I remember a couple of years ago, I was in a pivot place, my business, and it was around speaking, and I thought, what's my strategy to get out there as that speaker coach, whatever. And I was going to go to a winery with a friend, and she bailed on me on the Saturday. And I was like, all right, well, what do I do? Well, I'll just go grab a coffee and I'll go sit by the lake. And in Canada, we really only have 2 months of really nice weather. And it was like, it's a gorgeous day. I'm going to go sit. And I just actually went into a bit of a trance as I sat by the lake with my coffee, and I was eating and I was watching people and just idled the day away like that. And I was like, wow, I've never done that before. And watched a movie that night by myself, and because everybody's out of the house. And I woke up the next day And it was like, boom, all of a sudden I had this light bulb of, I know what I'm going to do. And I had, and what I love to do is, those flip chart papers that stick to the wall, like the really big ones. My entire living room, dining room, and kitchen, fairly big space, was covered in flip chart paper of my entire strategy of what I was going to do for 2019. I think it was the middle of 2018. The 5-day challenge, my launch, my event in Tampa, the whole thing was mapped out. And it was just like, wow, that would never have happened if I hadn't have just had some time to defibrillate a little bit and get the shit out of my head that was clogging it. And it was just beautiful. It was great. And 2019 was my best year. So,
what's so fascinating for me about that is my best ideas come in one of three places. They either come from sitting on the back of a tractor, or they come, in that early morning wake up when you're still kind of in a half trance, half sleep mode. Or they come as a shot right in the middle of 2 o'clock in the morning and bust you straight awake. And those are the toughest ones, because if I don't get out and write it down immediately, that shot of brilliance is gone come morning.
It is.
So my wife makes fun of me every once in a while because she'll roll over and it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I got like the blankets over my head, the phone up under here. I'm trying to punch in notes and shit, try to remember whatever this idea is. And then my notes, when you wake up, you're reading your notes, you're like, what the fuck did I just write?
Voice memo. That's what I do. I do voice memo. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Let's do this. It's been a hell of a conversation and a hell of a ride. I think a lot of people have gotten a lot out of this. How do people reach out and find out more about you, what you're doing, what you're into, and that kind of stuff? Yeah,
absolutely. I'm hopefully still everywhere on the social media, but my website is odettepeek.com. So ODETTEPEEK.com. Check me out. I've got a lot of free stuff on there. And if you want to have a one-to-one conversation, by all means, have a conversation with me. That's another thing I've left open the space for, just to speak to more people. But depending what you're looking for, a lot of people come to me because they want to do a TEDx talk, because I've done a TEDx talk. So it's like, let's do that. Let's write your talk for TEDx. But a lot of times when people are just coming to me, they just need the strategy on how to get up there and be a speaker and write their talk. So multiple different things. And then, of course, on Facebook and social media. I don't know what my Facebook handle is. I don't know.
just Google Odette Peek and she'll pop up.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and I think it'll be really great.
And guys, Odette will be speaking at the Badass Business Summit September 25th, 26th, and 27th in Fort Worth at the Hearst Convention Center. Just go to badassbusinesssummit.com. It is going to be a hell of a time. And we keep looking at it, is this going to be right after all this shit settles down, so everybody's going to want to get out and party a little bit, go meet and see some people. So come hang out with us at the summit. It'll be a damn good time.
Right. You can actually get those little masks made up with it says badass or bad mouth.
I don't know if Dodson's on here, but Donald Dodson's a custom leather maker. It's coming. I've got a full branded leather mask coming. With my logos and everything on it, so it's coming. So.
Leather masks?
Huh?
Leather masks?
Leather. It's a leather mask, and it's got the HEPA filter in it and everything.
See,
I'm like, right now I've got a Marine Corps one that I wear around.
I can imagine. That must be badass.
It is. But I'm like, if I'm gonna wear this, man, I'm gonna go full in with this thing. So I had Dotson make me a custom leather one. So excited to get that in.
Oh, that's perfect. That's really great.
Yep.
Cool. All right.
Well, girl, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate you, your energy, and everything. Guys, thanks for tuning in, and keep being a badass, girl. Stay out of trouble.
One thing, though.
Sure.
Anybody else that watches the next live or the video, check the intro to make sure it says Canadian.
Adam, there you go.
Adam, please just put my name.
Yes. We're going to say 11 badass speakers from the U.S. and Odette.
Exactly. Awesome. Okay.
That's awesome. Thank you, honey. I appreciate you.
Bye.
Talk soon. Bye-bye.